we had a reverend talk about the killings, and he was sharing some personal, like being personally involved, and you could see the pain. We also had a report that showed that. But do you think that we're doing enough? He doesn't believe that the government is doing enough. He believes that the government has the manpower but lacks the will, that if they have the actual will to combat insecurity in northern Nigeria, that they will.
Do we have the manpower?
The technology, yes.
There's no manpower and having the will. They are not mutually exclusive. In other words, the government is incapable. Not that the government is incapable. You see, I read a piece on the political crisis, and I was about to check my chairs. They'll not be placed in that place for a long time because of the resources they have in that state. So we have people that are interested in mining, interested in getting. There are many resources that they are using overseas, that the Chinese particularly are using. So the government said at the weekend that the people were highly bent in wiping out some communities and took over their land. That's what we are saying. And unfortunately, the government is helpless. The government is incapable. And this is not going for long time.
Incapable in terms of manpower.
Is herders, cattle herders, and dealing with natives. But this time around, we have people that are foreigners using the locals to foment trouble, to create crisis, to take over their resources. That's what we are saying.
And when you say the government is helpless, do you mean that the government is unaware of this?
The government is aware, but I don't know if the government is also culpable. So, but because the government is helpless in addressing these issues completely, now begin to assume that they are also involved in this racket.
And the government you're speaking about, is the government at the state level or at the federal level?
Both. The government at the state level is helpless. It's not in charge. It's not command the military or the police.
And are we as a people also speaking as much as we should? Do you think that people is getting as much publicity?
In some countries, the president should by now should be back from France.
Absolutely.
Back from France. But the man is busy working visit to France. So, and people are dying. Even Benue.
Do you think that we have
to cannot come out confidently in public space and tell us that we have made progress when there is nothing to show for it? When people are dying every day.
They say things were worse off. So we compare death toll. Okay, they used to kill 100, now they're killing 40.
So
that's still a
So
strategy.
this is the tweet. Let's take a look at this tweet. Mohammed Idris said, I would like to make clear that no candidate dismissed Governor Zulum's security concerns. Then he goes back further down to explain what he said. He said, yes, security is indeed improving in many parts of the country, even if acts of violence have not been completely eradicated. Security agencies are working round the clock to ensure that the situation in some parts of Borno State and others are brought under control. He then talks about synergy, say the synergy we have seen in operations of security agencies, especially in the last 2 years, and the massive investment in hardware and other equipment indicates the seriousness of which the federal government attaches to the issue. He then talks about the Tinubu administration being committed to eradicating acts of banditry and terrorism across the country. So from this, I mean, he basically talks about, yes, he says, the success achieved by the security agencies in the last 18 months is an indication that indeed Nigeria is gradually returned to normalcy. Do you agree with that?
This man cannot tell the governor of Niger State, the governor of Borno, that is improving. The sheriff of Borno told you what last week, that 4 local government is under control of bandits, of terrorists. 4. And that there's no single governance in those 4 local government. In Nigeria, in Niger State the same thing, in Plateau the same thing, in Benue the same thing. This man is the spokesperson of the federal government. You see, if when people are dying, who feels it knows it. When people are dying, you cannot justify it concretely that government is working. People are still dying. You can only present it to a judge that people that are dying that one, and people that are dying, that are not dying, that are Tinubu. No, Nigeria want to see a government that is serious and is committed and is showing capacity to deal with this issue. There's a report, last week in the social media, that when a general was adopted from an DG of NYC, the general colleagues are now looking for funds to pay as a ransom to pay to kidnap.
I mean, it just shows you how terrible things are.
That shows how we have degenerated.
And then the
NSA went to the mosque to pray. He came out and found that it's one of his petrol vehicles and he stole it. My sister, the Minister of Information can do better.
Did I say much? Who is sponsoring this insecurity in Nigeria? Who is benefiting from this insecurity in Nigeria? Who are the people illegally mining the resources, especially the resources we have in the Northeast? What is our government doing? Do we even have a government that cares? A government that has the capacity and the character, the will and the manpower to secure Nigeria? How many more people would die? How many more communities would die before we can say we have a government? Does our president even care about Nigerians? Because he spent 2 weeks spending 2 weeks now in France, but more people have died in Nigeria. I'm starting with these questions first because these are all the questions that we need, or part of the questions that we need to answer to fix the country, especially in the case of insecurity. But before we break everything down, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you've not subscribed yet, do so if you've been following us. And also recommend this channel to others. Watch this to the end. Ask those questions initially. Who are the people benefiting from this debt? It is now very evident, even to the deaf and to the blind. And everyone can see it now and hear clearly. Just like the same way Ali Baba mentioned. There's now confirmation. We're hearing now clearly now that people are being killed, especially in the Northeast, because of the resources in their land. Simply the cause of this debt. People are completely wiped out. This man mentioned that 4 local governments are without governance in Nigeria. And we have a federal government that can impose a state of security, state of emergency in a state because of pipeline vandalization. We have a federal government and we have a president in the midst of this chaos and killings, where many Nigerians have now been displaced internally within their own country. That same person is in France on a working visit. A working visit that even the French leader, Prime Minister, President, left to go to Egypt. What are we even doing? So I'm asking you this question because you might have some answers that I'm not privy to. So I'm asking you now. Do you have an idea who's benefiting from this insecurity in Nigeria? What are these chaos for? I showed you the last time some of the resources we have in the Northeast. Gold, platinum, cobalt, name it, we have it. And we have good soil for feeding too. Guess what? Our food has been tampered with. The resources have been tampered with. You ask why there's poverty in the land now, why feeding is hard in the land. That's the reason why. You cut off the food supply of the people, they will be hungry. You take away their resources by killing them, they will run away and they will give you the land. We have now ceded our own land in the hands of terrorists, into the hands of bandits, and we have a government who are incapable of fixing the problem. Is the government culpable in this? Is the government at the state and the federal level culpable in this? They're mentioning that Chinese businesses are interested in the resources we have. Who are the ones benefiting from these killings happening in Nigeria? I mentioned, do we have a president or government that's got the capability? See, this thing about capacity we've been talking about on this channel is important. How much can you do? That's your capacity. How much can you accomplish? That's your capacity. When you go for a job interview, they ask you this question: what can you do for us? When you employ a president, they ask him, what can you do? But when you have a president who didn't even need your employment, who didn't even campaign for your vote, and is there, what do you think he's going to do? He's going to ignore you. And that's what we're seeing right now. Capacity, wherewithal, the will, the manpower. Senator Undume told Nigerians, he said, we cannot do it. Security is dead. Our security officers are not trained. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the gears. They don't have the tools to do the job. Please, I'm asking you, the reason why I'm talking about it, you hear the lady said it. Is that we doing it? Are we talking about this enough? I'm talking about it enough because at some point, I don't want it to get close to where I'm from. I don't want it to get close to where you're from. That's why I'm sounding it so hard and hard here. If this is all I face on this channel every day, I'm happy. Because I want you to lend your voice to this thing. Listen, we cannot put our hands and fold our hands and think it does not concern us. Our family members are part of this. It's in the northeast now. It's coming down to the middle belt now and to the south. Before you know it gets to the southwest. Before you know it gets to the southeast. It's there already anyway. These unwanted killings are happening in Nigeria. Listen, until we make sure that our government don't have peace, in the sense that we keep calling them out until they know that we are not going to stop, they're not going to fix this thing. We can't keep quiet. Too many people have died. We can't travel on our roads. The other day, Tinubu was telling Nigerians his father is the best president since sliced bread. Listen, they're comparing the death toll in under Buhari's government with Tinubu's government. We're talking about APC government, telling Nigerians they're comparing what they did in their previous APC government and this current APC government. And then the Minister of Information telling us the success achieved in 18 months. What success are we talking about? Children are kidnapped every day. People are killed in their homes. We're doing mass burials all over the country. And all over the northeast and the northwest and the south. And you're telling me that the success, one Nigerian dead is too many. We have the capacity to wipe out this insurgency, this terrorism. But no, those in power will not do it. This unrest that we're currently faced with right now in Nigeria, it is not something that happened without us knowing. We saw it coming. But what we are currently facing right now is the government that doesn't have a willpower to solve the problem. And it is spreading like wildfire. I do not want it to get to my family members, nor do I want it to get to your family members. That's why I'm shouting, I'm speaking up, I'm speaking out. Can Tinubu even help Nigeria right now? Look at the governors of those states, they have become helpless. We have so many internally displaced people in our country. A country where there's no civil war. We have so many internally displaced people. Tell me, if the international community sees this thing happening in your country, do you think they will come and invest their money in you? It's a viable ground, but there's insecurity. Who do you think would do that? Would you put your money in it? Businesses are folded and run away. Don't keep quiet. Sound your alarm. Be prepared for 2027. When I say this on this channel, when I say 2027 is the fight for the soul of Nigeria, this is what I mean. These people have tested our government. They've taken ransom and they're buying weapons. You see how many killings happened during our elections. Where did those guns come from? Where did those weapons come from? Some people are definitely benefiting from this. And we cannot keep quiet. So I'm sounding this alarm again. I'm making sure I lend my voice towards this. Look at the way they kidnap people from Akure into Edo Benin Road. They kidnap people, take them through bushes and release them somewhere close in Edo State as well again. See what happens in Benue State. Look at what happened in Kogi State. Look at what is happening in Kebbi State, in Taraba, in Borno State, all over Nigeria. See what is happening from Abuja going to Kaduna, Katsina. Look at those roads. Can you ply those roads freely with your heart, not in your mouth, hoping that you'll get home? That's why we pray every day as Nigerians. At home, especially in Nigeria, for safe journey. Because our governments have now neglected us for basic things that should happen. Protection of life and property, security of life and property. The basic thing that the government should render to its people, this government cannot do it. That's what I'm telling you, don't keep quiet. If you keep quiet, it will be to your own detriment. Let's don't keep quiet. Let's speak up. Is our government culpable in this? Who is benefiting from this? Who are the ones benefiting and getting these things out? Who are the foreigners sponsoring locals to cause chaos and killings in Nigeria? Do we have the capacity to deal with this security? These are the questions I leave for you to answer in the comment section. And more. If the NSA chief, Nuhu Ribadu's own security vehicle was stolen, if a DG of the NYC was kidnapped, people at the upper echelon of security, what about the ordinary Nigerian? So answer this question in the comment section, because this channel belongs to me and you. I just lend my voice as a tool for us to make sure that the government hears us. What do you think? Let other people share their experiences if you have any. Again, if you're meeting this content for the first time, like, share, and subscribe. And if you've been following us and you have not yet subscribed, please do so. And also recommend this channel to others and join in the comment section. We want to have that competitive participation and intelligent conversation all together. Nigeria deserves better. Let's don't wait until it gets too close to your house, because the destruction, nobody needs to explain that to you. Look at all what is happening in Plateau State. We've seen enough already, so we don't want it too much, and we don't want it anymore at all. As always, God bless you and catch you up in the next video. Bye-bye.